All right. Hi there. Today we're getting ready to throw something on the wheel, and maybe you have a wheel at home, but you really don't know how to use it. And so we're going to start at the start. I've got some little balls of clay already prepared, and I have an extra lump. On my wheel, I have bats with holes in them, and there are pins that hold the bat in place. And the pins come off, so it's very easy to either use the bats or not. I know that some wheels come with these pins permanently attached, in which case you'll have to use a bat with pins for that wheel. But you may be in a situation where you have a wheel like this and you're wondering, can you just throw on it? Yes, you can. The rub comes, and sorry, that's a pun, but if you're throwing and there's a little grit in your clay and you get that grit between your palm of your hand, it's really going to take the skin right off. So for that reason, I generally don't throw right on the wheel head. But if I were going to use a different kind of bat, this is what I do. Let's say I had an odd shaped board that I wanted to use for my bat, right? All I need to do is make a lump of clay and flatten out a patty. The important thing is to keep this patty level so that when we put the board on, it's not off center. And then just make a series of concentric grooves like so. Put a little water in there because what I want to do is then, and so what I'm doing here is I'm putting pressure on both sides and I'm trying to get it to form a vacuum, and voila. I'm just gonna, now the beauty of this is that anything I throw on this, I should be able to just move the whole bat aside and come back to trim it later, okay? I'm not actually gonna do that right now, but that's the theory. So what I'd like you to do first is we're just going to make a couple of cylinders, all right? Okay, with a bat, I'll put a little moisture on the wheel. It's easier to adhere. If I throw it on the dry area, it might come off when I push against it. And what I'm doing here, sorry, I forgot, I'm gonna do it a couple times because this is important. I've got moisture on both sides of my hands. I've got my arms braced, right? And I'm pushing towards the invisible center of the wheel, right? It's staying down on the bat because I have it really joined. If you have a weak joint there, you're going to push it off. And you just got to throw it down harder next time. Now, what I'm trying to do is form just a little hockey puck, okay? Like so. That would be our starting position. It's arbitrary, doesn't matter, but no problems with that. And then we're gonna open it up. I like to open it up with 2 fingers. I keep my one thumb, it kind of dangles down on the side. I've got my 2 fingers, and I'm gonna go straight in, and I'll pull it out. Now, I don't want to go all the way down to the base because this is the inside of my cylinder or cup, whatever it is I'm making. And I'll have to check. That's the thickness of that base right now. And I don't need it that thick. It doesn't hurt anything, but it's just weight I'm gonna have to trim off later. I might push down just a little more And then what I'm doing is I'm pulling that clay towards me, okay? I'm smoothing out the bottom. Then I'm going to pull this clay back over itself so it's more or less in a perpendicular to slightly pyramidal shape. So now I'm ready to throw. I've got some moisture, just a little bit of moisture in my sponge. I got some moisture on my fingers. My middle finger and index finger are on the inside. Right across from them is my index finger on the outside. And I try and pull that up by just keeping my fingers the same distance apart. Other than that, I'm not really doing anything to the clay. I don't want to pinch it as I go up because you'll just tear it off, okay? So I have pushed in just a little on the outside, and I will just try and keep my fingers the same distance apart as we go up through that clay. The moisture on my fingers keeps my fingers from sticking where it's going to tear that. Okay. After each pull, I sort of straighten out that top, if that's what I want, so it doesn't get out of control. And I make another pull. Okay. And 2 pulls. That's nice to have a little cup and 2 pulls. But I'm gonna want to shape this just a little more. Now, every time I'm making a pot on the wheel, I'm going to use I call this my long wooden knife, okay? And I just use it to run along that edge. It takes a little of that off. It gives me a place to run my wire underneath. I keep both fingers against the bat as I pull that against me, okay? So if I'm making some small little things like this, I won't keep them all on a bat. I'll pull them off. Dry my hands, join my hands at the wrists and close around the form, and then I can pick it up, move it around, and I'd move it over to someplace on a piece of paper so it didn't stick. What I'm going to want you to do though is I want you to throw some cylinders, 4 of them, let's say 4. Did you say 4? Yeah, 4. We'll go down and cut them, okay? And this is what I want you to send a picture of to me. Okay, and we don't want too much clay here or here. We'll be able to trim. We'll be able to trim some of this off. Okay. And there we go. So give me 4 of these cups, throwing them in half. And after that, we should be good to go. I'm going to do it again. Okay. Throw them down. A little moisture on the hand. I'm pushing that way. When I get close, normally I use 2 hands, and I can grasp my thumbs and kind of squeeze together. Okay. Doesn't matter how you do it as long as you do it, I guess. So that's not center. Okay. We can see that if we hold our finger out, boom, not center. So I'm squeezing towards that invisible axis with both hands, pushing down with this part of my finger. We know that's centered because if you hold your finger out, you can see that it's as good as centered. Okay, now 2 fingers in and we go straight down. If you put both fingers sideways and go down, you'll get an out of round hole and you'll never get rid of that. The other thing is, if you go down and you make this hole uneven, what'll happen, okay, mine was even, but you'll get more clay on one side than the other. And when you go to pull it up, one side of your cylinder will be way taller than the other. Okay? So we open it up. Now we're just gonna move the walls of the clay back slightly over themselves. And so I squeezed too hard there, and look at that. You can also see it by the way I had a little area there and it was very thin and I was squeezing it. Boing. Yeah, that makes you want to throw stuff from across the studio, but you can't. Don't do it. I used to throw next to a guy. His name was Kurt, and he had a lot of issues, PTSD and all sorts of things. And he was trying to make these big pots, and he couldn't. He didn't have the skill. And so all day long, he would be throwing these things, and he would throw the crumpled mass across the studio, which is where I was. Finally, I said, dude, I gotta throw right next to you. And he goes, oh, you want to be my friend? I go, no, because I don't want you to throw those pots at me anymore. Crazy, wild man. Okay, here we go. I'm opening it up, and I'm pulling that towards me, right? And smoothing out the inside bottom. Pulling that over. So I don't care how much clay you use at this stage. Just give me some cylinders, okay? Okay, something like that. All right? Okay. Thank you.